everybody, and welcome to this special edition of Inside NASCAR. 43 weeks after kicking things off with a Busch Clash in Daytona last February, the Winston Cup Series finally put a period on the 1997 season Friday night with its annual awards ceremony at the Waldorf Astoria in New York. Of course, Jeff Gordon was the guest of honor, and coming up next, we'll tell you about all the festivities surrounding the 49th annual Winston Cup Awards banquet. Plus, here's a look at what else is ahead in this 1 hour of Inside NASCAR. Mike Skinner walked into the spotlight of 1997 as the running mate to 7-time Winston Cup champion Dale Earnhardt. Despite that pressure, he was able to capture this year's Rookie of the Year honors and bring home the checkered flag from the Suzuka 100 in Japan. We'll talk with Skinner about his first full season in Winston Cup. While his dad is chalking up success in the big leagues, Jamie Skinner is preparing himself for his own racing career. You'll hear how father and son plan to share the wheel in a Craftsman truck next season. And during his adventure in Japan, Tyler Potter had a chance to hang out with Jeff Bodine at dinner. And you won't believe what these guys got into. Those stories and more revving up next on Inside NASCAR.
Inside NASCAR is brought to you by Miller Lite, who reminds you that anything can happen at Miller time.
Ever since he won his first Winston Cup title 2 years ago, Jeff Gordon has been a driver constantly referred to as the future of this sport. So it's only fitting that he takes over the reins of his second series championship as NASCAR prepares to celebrate its 50th anniversary. Gordon emerged as the champ after the closest three-way battle in Winston Cup history. And on Friday night, he was honored at the annual awards banquet in New York in what turned out to be a highly emotional ceremony. Our Phil Wurz was there.
Thanks, Stephanie, and hello, everybody, from New York City and the Waldorf Astoria Hotel, where Friday night Jeff Gordon received the spoils of winning the 1997 Winston Cup Championship. We'll recap the banquet festivities in a moment, but first, there was plenty of important news going on in the Big Apple all week long, especially the news surrounding NASCAR's 50th anniversary. On Thursday, NASCAR and R.J. Reynolds kicked off their plans for the huge golden anniversary. Some of the highlights: the point fund has been increased $1 million to $5 million. Plus, these 5 drivers, John Andretti, Ken Schrader, Ernie Irvan, and Bobby and Terry Labonte, can conceivably win $5 million as part of the new No Bull 5. But now 5 fans could also win a total of $5 million as part of the same program by filling out a ballot form where they buy Winston products.
If we have one of the No Bull 5 drivers win Daytona 500, we'll pull 5 of those entrants out of the hat. Those 5 fans then will come to Charlotte with us, at which time one of those fans will become an instant millionaire.
A few other millionaires and former Winston Cup champions unveiled the new NASCAR Winston Cup Perpetual Trophy. It has every Winston Cup champion's name engraved on it and will be permanently displayed at Daytona, USA. And Bill Elliott did it again. He won the Most Popular Driver Award for the 12th time in the last 14 years. He spoke to us about the award at Friday night's banquet.
I'm just tickled to death. I think I give it more back to the fans. You know, they're the ones that supported me and put me in this position, and I appreciate every one of them.
On Thursday night, country western favorite Sawyer Brown played at Roseland Hall in New York for an event hosted by TNN. And on Friday, Winston Cup champion Jeff Gordon made the traditional visit to Times Square. You know, Jeff's getting used to striking a pose in the heart of Manhattan. As for Friday night's 49th annual Winston Cup banquet, Mike Skinner received his Rookie of the Year award. Add to that a win at Japan, 2 Daytona poles, and he's ready for more in 1998.
You know, we got to finish races in order to win points, and we dropped out of too many races this year, and that's going to be our goal, is to not drop out of as many races next year, hopefully none, and finish better in Winston Cup points.
Top 10 is the goal, and Ken Schrader took the 10 spot by 1 point over Johnny Benson. Number 9, Rusty Wallace. 1 win, but 11 DNFs cost the Miller Lite team. Still 12 top 10s, and a strong finish gave Rusty some incentive for 98.
Well, I'm grateful to be in the top 10. There's no doubt about that. I mean, it was looking pretty grim for a while. We were sitting there 12th, 11th in the points, and finally we just had a string of good finishes and got up there 9th in the points. But I guess the down part was right there at the end. We had such a bad run at Atlanta, which we got to turn around next time, no doubt about that. But I'm looking forward to next year.
Most popular driver Bill Elliott finished 8th in the McDonald's Ford. Elliott recorded no wins, but did earn 5 top 5s and 14 top 10s. Bobby Labonte came in 7th in points. The Interstate Batteries car was the highest finishing Pontiac, and Labonte says he can get used to this top 10 stuff every year.
Like I think Kenny said earlier, it's tough to get up here every year, and I mean, it's just a great tribute to the race team. They do such a great job with the race car, and I mean, that's just one of those deals where it's hard to get up here, but when you get up here, it's awful exciting.
Terry, I know you would have liked to have had a much better season as defending champion, but how glad are you to finish in the top 6?
Well, anytime you can finish in the top 10 and win a race, it's a good year for you. And I really do, feel good about our year. It wasn't as good as we'd like to have been, but it could have been a lot worse. There's a lot of guys that would trade places with us, so I sure can't be disappointed with it.
Dale Earnhardt endured his first winless season since 1981, but still finished 5th in the points race. Earnhardt may be disappointed with 97, but look out in 1998.
You know, we came up 5th in the championship this year, and it's great to come to New York and enjoy yourself, but it's really tough to come up here and get that 5th place money when you know you'd like to have that championship. So it just makes you more determined to work harder and come back next year and try to win that championship, and that's really what Richard and I are focusing on doing. We got a lot of confidence in the race team. The race team's working really hard, so I want to come up here and do it.
Rising star Jeff Burton took 4th in his Exide Ford. 3 wins in 97 has Burton thinking title in 1998.
You know, when you get to the point where people start looking at you saying you can be a contender, that's what it's all about. So we think we've got a chance if we can improve in the areas that we didn't do well in. If we can make those better and keep the things we did well, then we have a good chance for next year.
Mark Martin settles for the number 3 position, but his 24 top 10s was the best for any driver this season.
You know, I'm proud of what we did accomplish. We all wanted to win the championship, but we got beat, and we'll take that and try to improve on it next year.
Dale Jarrett missed his first title by a mere 14 points. He did win the Man of the Year award, though, with his off-track efforts this season. You could very easily be standing up on that stage, not being number 2, but being number 1. When you think back and you think 14 points, does it frustrate you or to make you even hungrier to come back and win this thing next year?
Yeah, I think it's an inspiration for us to realize that, we've got to make that one less mistake that we made this year at some point in time. Don't know when that may have been. You don't ever know which one it was, but there's no reason to look back except to learn from that. And I think that it just makes us excited to look to the future.
For 2-time Winston Cup champion Jeff Gordon, it was a very emotional evening. He fought back tears in a pair of speeches as he thanked his Rainbow Warriors, crew chief Ray Evernham, among others, for their contributions in helping win the title. Gordon saved his final words, though, for team owner Rick Hendrick, who's battled cancer all season long as his driver won a season-high 10 races and a 3rd straight title for Hendrick Motorsports.
I want to thank Linda and Pop for being here, and thank you for everything that you guys do. It really means a lot that you're here, and we all wish that Rick could be here tonight, but since he couldn't, I'm going to close just saying that I would like to dedicate this championship and this night to him for dedicating so much of himself to each and every one of us. God bless you and good night.
As we've already said, a highly emotional night for Jeff Gordon. Our congratulations goes out to him and to all of this year's honorees. Well, this is our final studio segment for 1997, but don't worry, we'll still continue to be here each and every week with all the news and behind-the-scenes stories that you don't get anywhere else. In fact, Ned Jarrett will be back right after this break from the truck shop of Winston Cup Rookie of the Year, Mike Skinner. And one other thing to remember, the Bud Shootout at Daytona is only 9 weeks away. Thanks for making Inside NASCAR a part of your weekly routine. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to Inside NASCAR. We're in Level Cross, North Carolina at Skinner Performance Racing, a team that will field a truck in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series on a part-time basis in 1998 with 2 different drivers. Mike Skinner will drive part of the time, and his son Jamie will fill in the balance of the races that they plan to run. Now, Mike Skinner won the Rookie of the Year honors this year in the NASCAR Winston Cup Series, and of course, this is a big weekend for him, being honored at the Big Apple at the Waldorf Astoria Hotel in New York. And while we were here this week, Stephanie Boyd-Durner talked to him about winning the Rookie of the Year honors.
At the ripe young age of 40 years old, Mike Skinner is the 1997 Winston Cup Rookie of the Year. Never mind that he's got roughly 20 years racing experience under his belt. Since 1986, Skinner had been trying to break into Winston Cup racing with 15 starts over a 10-year period. But it wasn't until he was picked by Richard Childress to drive in the Craftsman Truck Series that things finally started to happen. He won the inaugural Truck Series title in 1995, finished third in the standings in 1996, then moved to Cup this year as a teammate to none other than Dale Earnhardt. His rookie season was up and down, to say the least, with 6 DNFs, a D&Q at Charlotte, and a 30th place finish in points. But along the way, he also scored 3 top 10 finishes, not to mention 2 poles, both at Daytona, including his first race out as a Winston Cup regular in the most prestigious event on the Winston Cup circuit.
You come out of the box and sit on the pole for the Daytona 500. Were you just wowed, blown away?
Yeah, we really was, and you know, we got a little bit shell-shocked there the few races after that. And we had a really good race car for probably 10 or 15 races after that, and we just couldn't capitalize on it. And a lot of it was, you know, rookie driver. You know, I made a lot of rookie mistakes in Winston Cup. I had to learn those people over there and the other drivers and who I could race with and who you can go in the corner with. And a lot of them don't want you going in the corner with them. So you have to, you know, it takes a while to gain the respect of the other drivers that they'll race with you. And, you know, we made a lot of mistakes, and we made a lot of mistakes in the pits. You know, a lot of times we'd come in with great track position, running in the top 5 and go out 28th or 30th or something. And, you know, we just had to grow as a team, everything from the driver to the crew to even Richard. You know, Richard was a rookie at this, too.
Was it a whole lot different, really, than what you expected it was going to be in Winston Cup?
Yeah, I think we were all pretty surprised. You know, in the late model stock series and even the open comp series out on the West Coast when we used to run that, and the truck series, I've always kind of been, after I've been there a little bit, been the teacher, and all of a sudden you're the student, and it shines a whole different light. And, you know, our expectations was better than what we were performing. And I think that we let that be our worst enemy.
I think there was a lot of speculation going into this year, and especially how Dale was going to handle a 2-car team, and being a 7-time Winston Cup champion and being the main dude. I mean, how did you guys make it through the year? What's your assessment of how things went?
Well, you know, everybody pretty much capitalized on that or expressed that a lot, but I was in the same boat. I was used to being the only kid on the block and used to getting all the attention. And then now you got Dale Earnhardt as a teammate, which you're going to be not the little guy, you're under the carpet. And, you know, it was a little bit tough for a while, but I think we've both adjusted pretty good to it. We communicate better. Dale Earnhardt's, you know, probably the greatest race car driver in the world, and, you know, you have to use that stuff as a positive. You can't go in there thinking of all the negative things to having 2 cars. If you do, it won't work. You have to go in there and think of the positives. And if I find something on the racetrack or a little niche or my car's doing something, a lot of times I'll just go over and stick my head in the window and talk to him, and yeah, mine's doing the same thing, or well, no, I don't feel that, and vice versa. And we've communicated good. We communicated good at the test at Atlanta, and you know, right on to Suzuka. And I just think the relationship's getting stronger, and I think we both realize the benefit of Richard's going to have 2 cars. You're a driver and I'm a driver. We need to make the best of this that we can, and I think it's working pretty good now.
Not too many years ago, you were struggling. You know, you didn't know if this was your goal, but you didn't know for sure if you were ever going to make it here. Feel pretty good now, Winston Cup Rookie of the Year, one of the top teams in the sport?
Well, it really does. You know, right outside here's the little bitty shop that I won a lot of late model stock races out of, and ran my first Winston Cup race out of, and it's pretty crude, and now all of a sudden it's going to be my little fab shop for my truck deal for Jamie and myself to run some. And so we've come a long ways, and we're building, and you know, we hope to you know, make the best of the next 10 or 12 years that we've got that's going to be real productive years, hopefully, in Winston Cup. And I'm already starting to build this truck deal up and have me something to fall back on where I can stay in racing when I can't get behind the wheel anymore.
NASCAR will definitely go back to Japan and race in 1998, but they might not run on the road course at Suzuka. There's a new oval course that's been built there, and they definitely will run on it. An announcement will come later as far as whether they'll run 2 races or not. Tyler Potter talked to some of the drivers about running on the road course at Suzuka.
Last month's exhibition race in Suzuka, Japan may very well have been the final race at the historic road course. The contract NASCAR signed with Japan was for 3 years, with this being the 2nd year of competition. The 98 race is tentatively scheduled for November 15th, with the race 6 days later at the new oval track in Motegi. If it is the final race at Suzuka, it's a shame. Rusty Wallace and Mike Skinner each posted memorable victories there. Wallace's win over Dale Earnhardt in the inaugural race ranked as one of the most prominent accomplishments in his storied career. Skinner's victory over Mark Martin was the very first of his young Winston Cup career. The Suzuka Circuit International Racecourse was built by the Honda Motor Company back in 1962 at a price of $7 million. 1 year later, an amusement park was added to the facility. It's a track all to its own. Unlike the road courses at Watkins Glen and Sears Point, Suzuka's reasonably flat, without a lot of elevation changes. And speaking of changes, Suzuka's undergone its share of those in 35 years, from extra safety barriers to increased runoff areas.
The runoff areas, the gravel that you run off in, I thought was real safe, and they put that in effect at Watkins Glen, which helped a lot of cars over there. There's some neat things about this track. It's slower, it's smaller, it's hard to pass on, and that's the reason qualifying is so important.
NASCAR is just the latest in a long line of racing series that have competed at Suzuka. And getting that to happen took several years through the efforts of about 40 people, here and abroad.
They thought it was very important to bring a variety of different races into Japan, and in the past they've done a lot of European racing type style here, and seeing NASCAR as a very big American event is very, very audience oriented. Of course, the Suzuka Circuit is not just thinking about cars and races itself, they're thinking about enjoyment for the spectators as well. And you take a NASCAR car with the noise of the engine, and you put the drivers in here with their kindness and courtesy. He feels that they're giving Japanese fans a real thrill. That's something that they wouldn't have if they didn't bring NASCAR to Japan.
Crowds for the 2 NASCAR races have even rivaled those of all Formula Japan races. And drivers we talked to couldn't say enough about the hospitality shown to them.
The people have been real courteous and real nice to us, and being here has not felt like being in a foreign country.
They've shown us a lot of hospitality. They've worked hard and they jumped through hoops to make everything happen and get what you need. And if you have a little problem, or no matter how big or how small, they work and cater to your needs and get it if you can, within reason. And they do a good job.
This track has hosted numerous big-time racing events in its 35-year history, from Formula One to the World Grand Prix Motorcycle Championship to now NASCAR. Many legends have raced here at Suzuka Circuit.
You walk through here and you wonder what it was like, when Senna was here, and when Villeneuve was here recently, and it's just it's kind of strange to think about it, because we know each other. This is just kind of like being at another racetrack for us, but when you think about it, there's a lot of history here.
With 2 races in Japan next year, there's some question as to how many drivers will be there for the full 2 weeks, especially considering the race at Suzuka overlaps with the final Busch race in Homestead, Florida. Chances are there'll be just 1 race at Motegi next November. So what's next on the horizon? Maybe Germany or Switzerland?
We're going to race wherever NASCAR says we need to be.
Where would you like to go next?
Wherever.
It's time to move around the country now, because you got to remember, the only thing we're doing is trying to spread the worldwide attention of NASCAR around the country.
When you miss Suzuka, how many tracks can you find in the amusement park right on the other side?
Yeah, I'd miss it a little bit. I really would. I had a good time here, and I'm sure we'll be back one of these days.
Hi, this is Jeff Hammond, crew chief of the Parts America Chevrolet. A lot of times during a race telecast, you'll see somebody say, and down to the pits, and you'll see the pit stop be made, and all of a sudden you'll see the guys jump back over the wall, and the camera will zoom in and show a tire, and guys will be writing on it and working on it, and you'll be wondering, what are they doing? What they're doing is they're taking a pyrometer reading, which tells us the heat across the tire, and the air pressure buildup, which is this number here. And what they do during the course of the race, they'll transfer that over to a sheet, just like we have here, that we used at Phoenix. And what that allows us to do is to monitor how the car is handling, how the tire pressures are building up, and what the driver is saying to us over the radio so that we can get the car tuned in better for the later as the racetrack changes. As you can see, it tells us how the heat temperature is, as well as the tire pressure buildup on all 4 tires. And also we have what the pressure was when it started out and what it is when it ends. So therefore, the crew chief as well as the driver can relate during the course of the race and make the necessary adjustments. And sometimes these adjustments are very minute, a half a pound, maybe even a quarter of a pound, depending on how good your race car is and what direction you're trying to go in. It's very critical to have this type of information so the next time you see these guys during a race work on this, you'll understand what they're trying to accomplish.
Well, we need to take a short break right now. A little later on in the program, we'll go out to dinner with Jeff Bodine in Japan. We've got the mailbox and lots more, so you stay with us.
The thing about drinking tea, after you drink the tea, you read the tea leaf, the leavings in there, right. You know, the tea leaves or whatever it is. And you're supposed to tell your fortune by that. So drink up, I'm going to tell your fortune.
Hello, I'm Ned Jarrett. If you're a race fan that likes to know all the facts about Winston Cup racing, then this book is for you. It's the 1997 NASCAR Winston Cup Updates year-end book. Most media members use this source of information, and in my opinion, it's the Bible of NASCAR Winston Cup racing. The NASCAR Winston Cup Updates year-end book offers statistical reviews of the 1997 season, plus biographies of all your favorite drivers. A great gift idea, and it's available now. To place an order, send $24.95 to the address on your screen.
God bless Bill Elliott. It has to be McDonald's, I promise you. I stopped at McDonald's yesterday and got some lunch. I went back and got some supper, and I'm going back for lunch today, and I'm going back for supper today. I mean, all American food, McDonald's. Everybody always remember that, McDonald's, because that's all I'll ever eat again as long as I'm in Japan. Well, I think the best thing that happened to me this year so far was, when I went over to Japan was learning about qualifying in the rain. We've talked about that for a long, long time, never done it, never experienced it. Now I know a little bit about it. I feel pretty comfortable with it, and had a big learning curve there. So I've done that, and I can already say I've won in Japan, and there's a couple things right there to think about.
Your best memory of Japan from this trip?
This trip? No. That's all they say.
That's it, huh?
That's about all I've got out of them. No. It's pretty tough to communicate.
That might be the off-season as far as on-track racing is concerned, but Claire B. Lang has plenty to talk about on Illustrated Insider.
Winston Cup and Busch crew members were honored this week at an end-of-the-season celebration that paid tribute to the folks behind the scenes in racing at the Stock Car Cafe in Cornelius, North Carolina. Drivers Kyle Petty and Randy LaJoy attended to support their teams, but deferred attention to their crew members as a commemorative wall was unveiled in their honor. To answer your email, no, it is not true the Rainbow Warriors have now all had tomahawks tattooed on their bodies as part of a ritual after winning their second championship. DuPont Jack man Barry Muse did get a tomahawk tattoo on his arm after the team won its first championship. Crew Chief Ray Evernham told Muse he'd consider getting one the day the team won his second championship, but Muse still sports the solo tomahawk team tattoo on his arm and is still chiding Evernham to get the tomahawk mark as the team heads to the banquet in New York. It is true that crew chief Ray Evernham found 2 books opened on the table in the transport at Atlanta prior to the Sunday race for the championship. One was the Bible, a regular for him. The other was a book signed God Bless Lori Morgan, Evernham's favorite country music artist and a fan of the 24 team. Evernham says he's still not sure who put them there, but the items were left just as they'd been laid during the race. Another stroke of luck that will continue into next season, the Warriors Refuse to Lose t-shirt, worn under layers of clothing by Evernham's father as he cheered his son on in Atlanta. And what was Jeff Gordon doing as the Busch drivers raced in Atlanta? Well, we found him on top of his transport, contemplating his championship run and watching how the cars reacted to the track. After he found out what he needed, then he stepped down and he headed for his car. Macon, Georgia morning radio personality and race fan Laura Starling of WDEN married Mike Harbin in Victory Lane in Atlanta. No confusion over who the two pulled for.
He likes Dale Earnhardt, and I do, but I like Sterling Marlin.
Goodwrench Jackman Chocolate Myers headed to the Tabasco camp recently. Actually, he was there to learn to cook Cajun food, although he did make a reference to potential uses for that little jar of hot stuff. By the way, you can email Chocolate at www.gasmanchalk.com.
I think we can put some of this in the gas tank. That's it. Maybe I'll try to slap some in tomorrow. That would really be hot.
Sports Design of Harrisburg, North Carolina has just inked a deal with Skittles and Ernie Irvan for merchandise as plans get underway for new commemorative items for Irvan and his new Skittles ride next season. Sports Design currently represents the likes of Prime Star, Exide, Valvoline, and look for the merchandise to be very fan-friendly. Meanwhile, lots of shuffling among crew members in the shops and from the Taurus group, additional testing and off-season headaches as they work to make that car right before Daytona. In one shop this week, I saw a Taurus that the crew had sketched a design of a turtle on, and next to it, they had written the words Ford Tortoise. Well, that's it for this time. Have a great holiday season. For the Illustrated Insider, I'm Claire B. Lang.
If you have ideas for the Illustrated Insider, you can email Claire B. Lang at insidercbl@aol.com. Or if you'd like to read more, you can find Claire's monthly column in Winston Cup Illustrated. Call 1-800-883-7323 to begin your subscription.
Well, thanks, Claire B. I want to remind you about the annual Stocks for Tots benefit that's coming up on Thursday night, December 18th, in the Lakeside Industrial Park in Mooresville, North Carolina, where a lot of the NASCAR Winston Cup teams are located. Of course, it's a charity event. A lot of the drivers will be there and other personalities in racing to sign autographs, to get pictures made and all that kind of thing, to have a big auction and all of that. So just wanted to remind you of that. Hope you can go. We'll be back with more on Inside NASCAR with the mailbox and lots more right after this.
1997, an unforgettable year in the history of NASCAR. And now, race fans, when you order your 1997 NASCAR Winston Cup yearbook, you'll automatically be entered in the Book a Ride 8 sweepstakes. You could win the grand prize, $5,000 in cash and 4 tickets to the Coca-Cola 600. Or you could be a weekly $1,000 winner, or win one of many other great prizes. Call 800-632-1100 and place your order now. To enter without a purchase, send a postcard with your name, address, and phone number to this address. You'll treasure this bonded leather coffee table collector's edition featuring great color photography of the entire 97 season. But hurry, only a limited number are available, and at only $39.95, they're sure to sell out. Entry deadline December 12th, so order your copy of the 97 NASCAR Winston Cup yearbook now. Christmas delivery and satisfaction are guaranteed.
I like the publisher so much, I asked them to do one about my 25th year. Ask your operator about it.
Congratulations to Joel Peckham from Atwood, Indiana. This week's winner in the Book a Ride sweepstakes. You could be next.
The Inside NASCAR mailbox is brought to you by Miller Lite. Our question today is from Kathy Brindle from Urbana, Ohio. What kind of activities is Motor Racing Outreach involved in both inside and outside the racetracks?
Well, thanks, Kathy. I'm Lindsay Spathy with Motor Racing Outreach, MRO. And what Motor Racing Outreach is involved with, other than holding chapel services, and we pray with the drivers on the grid before starting each race for their safety and also for the teams. we do on-site child care and Bible studies. We also provide care for the families and also head to the hospitals if there's any problems with the drivers on track. Outside the track, we're involved with putting on conferences for couples, for the drivers and team members and those associated with racing. And our chaplains, we have 14 chaplains that go to the various different race series other than NASCAR. So we're kept pretty busy. And we just appreciate you writing in, and thank you so much.
If you have a question for the Inside NASCAR mailbox, write to us at Inside NASCAR. Post Office Box 240417, Charlotte, North Carolina 28224. If we use your question on the air, you'll receive this embroidered Miller Lite jacket and a cap and shirt from Chase Authentics, the authentic trackside apparel of NASCAR.
We'll be back with more on the Inside NASCAR right after this.
A good race car driver is easy to find. A race car driver that knows about the truck and the equipment and the chassis and how everything works and can come in and change and say, well, we need to change the left rear spring, because those are the racers that are the ones you're going to have to really watch out for.
When the NASCAR Winston Cup drivers and teams go to Japan, there are some unique experiences, particularly in the food and the way it's prepared when they go out to eat. Well, Jeff Bodine found out that things are a little bit different in Japan than they are in America, and he invited Tyler Potter to go along to dinner.
Last week it was sightseeing with Kenny Wallace. This week it's dinner with Jeff Bodine at Misakiya, an authentic Japanese restaurant in the heart of downtown Suzuka. The owner of the restaurant was more than happy to see us, shaking hands with Jeff the moment he walked through the door.
You have a table for us. Okay, movie star. Yes, you're going to be a movie star. He wants to be a movie star. If he only knew, right?
Our table consisted of myself and Jeff, Scott Matei of Matei Motorsports, and crew chief Tim Brewer and his wife Susan. Now, the menu wasn't in English, but there were pictures to help us along.
We picked this place out just special for you, and we've already ordered. And let me see where it is.
Why do I know we're going to point to?
Oh, wait. Well, there's heart.
I think that's got
this is raw heart. This is what you're
that looks delicious. I wonder what this tripe is, yeah.
Well, tripe, I believe. Isn't tripe fish? Yeah.
It is fish?
I might go for some tripe.
More on the tripe later, but first it was time for the toast.
Toast to tonight's dinner. Yes. May we all survive it.
Finally, it was time to order. I found that pointing made the most sense.
Tongue's good?
Good. Tongue good?
Yeah.
You want tongue?
Oh, man, I got it.
No. You know what?
I'm going with the raw meat.
I have a tongue, and that's the only one I need.
Raw meat. Let's go with the raw meat.
Raw? No.
Yes.
Well, you cook it.
Yeah, you're going to cook it, so how raw can it be?
Eat it raw.
You drink a lot of tea in Japan regardless of the time of day. Besides your morning and afternoon teas, there's an evening tea, which is what we were drinking.
The thing about drinking tea, after you drink the tea, you read the tea leaf, the leavings in there, right. You know, the tea leaves or whatever it is. And you're supposed to tell your fortune by that. So drink up, I'm going to tell your fortune. All right. My grandmother used to tell me that. She used to read my fortune all the time. She said I would come to Japan one day and...
You'd win a race?
Eat raw heart.
I've got a lesson for you now. Do you know why the rice is sticky like this over in Japan?
Starch?
No, but good guess.
Okay.
That way you can pick it up with the chopsticks.
You mean like this?
Exactly, yes.
You want me to feed you?
Yeah, please.
I don't think so.
Back to the tripe. Now, it came to us raw like the rest of the meat. We then cooked it to our liking on the grill at our table. But I had never tried tripe, let alone know what it was, so I figured, what the heck? There's a first for everything.
It's kind of like a...
Oh, ma'am. Wow.
Wait a minute. What is it?
There's a half-life
It's either lizard or rattlesnake. We're not sure.
You'll be enjoying it for a long while. I need some sake. Pass me the tea, will you? Oh, my goodness.
It was awful, about the chewiest thing you could ever imagine. I turned to a gentleman at the next table to find out what it really was.
What is tripe?
Oh, no. The linings of the stomach?
The esophagus? Kind of like chitlins.
What is
Goes down through intestine.
It's a lining. A membrane lining?
Chitlins, yeah. Yeah.
What is it? How about the English version?
I
ate one. Now let's get the record straight. Hey.
Yeah. You did better than I did, pal. Hey.
Okay, right there. I'm sticking to my salad right now. I've got Thousand Island dressing, so I'm happy.
The stomach. It's stomach.
It's stomach.
You ate someone's stomach.
Actually, I ate the linings of a cow's stomach. Later, that same guy wanted Jeff's autograph.
Love? Love you.
Shortly thereafter, the owner was back for his own autograph and picture. We topped off the night with some vanilla ice cream and a bow in true Japanese custom.
Sayonara. I've got a new friend. Bye. Hey.
While Jeff Gordon celebrates his second Winston Cup title, let's look back at another great champion. In his career since winning Rookie of the Year in 1979, Dale Earnhardt has turned in some incredible years, which include championships in 1980, 86, 87, 1990, 91, 93, and 94. His best season was 1987, driving for Richard Childress. That year, he won 11 times. But let's look back to 1983. In that season, he won 2 times driving the number 15 Wrangler Ford for Bud Moore. One of those 2 wins came at Nashville in the Busch 420. Earnhardt held off Darrell Waltrip for the victory. His second win that year was at Talladega. Then at the world's fastest speedway a year later, there were some incredible moments of excitement and some mayhem, especially on the front stretch. In that day, there were 68 lead changes, once again, some grinding crashes. Dick Brooks went for a long slide right into the front stretch wall. The car was battered, but Brooks emerged without serious injury. The next big crash happened when Trevor Boyce, driving the Hilton McQuag number 48, went side over side, destroying the car. Boyce fortunately climbed out a few minutes later, shaken but okay. The race came down to an all-out war between Earnhardt in the 3, Terry Labonte in the 44, and Buddy Baker. As the final lap played out, Earnhardt got by Labonte and then held on for the win. Baker was second. Labonte had to settle for third. A few months later, Earnhardt won at Atlanta, giving him a grand total of 2 wins for 1984.
Well, thanks, Jason. A lot of people in racing feels that Earnhardt and the Goodwrench team were primed to get back in victory lane in 1998, and I'm one of those believers. As we leave you for this break, let's take a look at what we have for you next week, right here on Inside NASCAR on TNN.
NASCAR's journey to Japan has been something new for the sport, and this year was especially unique. On qualifying day, Mother Nature brought bad weather, so the competitors bolted on rain tires. Will this be something officials try in the States? We'll look at the possibilities. In the event of an accident, the seat is a race driver's main refuge. A space-age polymer is helping to make that a safer place and is proving to have other uses as well. Those stories and much more are next week on Inside NASCAR.
Jamie Skinner has been racing in the late model stock series for a couple of years in a car like this. And he'll continue to do that in 1998, but he also will make the transition to the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, sharing driving duties with his dad, Mike Skinner. Jamie is the subject of this week's Inside NASCAR Profile.
For Mike and Jamie Skinner, 1998 is the year they moved from being simply father and son to being racing colleagues. The two will split driving duties for the Lumar Window Films truck team, which was started by Dana Dorman and is now owned by Mike. Each driver will run 5 events, and 20-year-old Jamie is ready.
My expectations as far as my 5 races go, I'd like to sit on the pole for one of those 5 races. and I'd like to finish in the top 10 at least 4 out of those 5 races. And those expectations are probably pretty high, but I'd like to win one of those 5 races. And I think that we can win one of those 5 races if the situation is right and everything's just kind of falls into place. My dad's 5 races. I want to go help him and do anything and everything that I can do to try to get him a win and some poles and some good top 5 and top 10 finishes, and get some good exposure for Lumar window film, and just try to get our name out there and make Skinner Performance look good.
Jamie already has 1 truck race under his belt. In September, he started an impressive 9th at Martinsville before an accident dropped him to a 30th place finish. But his qualifying effort proved he's a quick study, especially after only 2 years racing experience in the late model ranks.
I was down at Caraway one day, and we were testing. I think Jamie was like 13 or 14 years old, something like that, and he just kept on bugging me. Let me drive the car, let me drive the car. And I said, well, you can take it out and just ride around the racetrack. And I let him in there. He couldn't even see over the steering wheel. And I went up in the flag stand and watched him, and about the 3rd lap, he come off the 4th turn wide open sideways and never lifted the gas. And I said, oh boy, this is big. And he really impressed me, and you know, we just kind of kept the dream alive. And then when he got old enough to do it, he's really done a heck of a job.
Because you are only 2 or 3 years into your career, do you feel like you've paid enough dues to already be racing in one of NASCAR's top series?
No, nowhere near enough. I don't think that you ever quit paying your dues. I think that you pay your dues all throughout your life. And I'm very fortunate to be in the situation that I'm in right now with Dana Dorman and Skinner Performance, and I feel very fortunate to have my dad. He hired Cal Northrup, and I'm really looking forward to working with Cal this year and learning a lot. And he's took a lot of young drivers and made them successful in a lot of different series, and I'm looking forward to it. I think that you know, with him providing me the equipment and the knowledge and everything, I think we're going to be all right.
If he keeps his head screwed on straight and he keeps working as hard as he is, he'll go a long ways in racing. And he's young enough that you know, Jeff Gordon's don't come along very often. He's got the youth and the natural ability. If we can get him the backing and put the right people and put him in the right equipment, you never know.
A young man that seems to have a bright future in the sport of auto racing. Well, our time's up for today. Hope you enjoyed the show. And our thanks to Dana Dorman, the team manager here at Skinner Performance Racing, and all of them for allowing us to show you around their shops. You join us again here on TNN for more on Inside NASCAR.